There's anger at the government on the streets in Tehran. Pockets of protest after Iran's military admitted it accidentally shot down a civilian plane. They shout for their leaders to resign. Amid the turmoil, Britain's ambassador to Iran was arrested. Rob McCare was held for 2 hours before being released. The Foreign Secretary called his treatment a flagrant violation of international law. He said the Iranian government is at a crossroads moment. It can continue its path towards pariah status with all the political and economic isolation that entails, or take steps to de-escalate tensions and engage in a diplomatic path forwards.
Libya's eastern and western administrations have agreed to a ceasefire in the country, but the UN-backed prime minister conditioned this on rival forces withdrawing from the outskirts of Tripoli, indicating hostilities could continue. The General Command of the Libyan Arab Armed Forces declares a ceasefire for the military operations room in the western region. As of 1 past midnight, January 12, 2020, provided that the opposite party will abide by the ceasefire at this time. And the response will be harsh for any breach of this armistice. Europe, and particularly Italy, have launched a diplomatic campaign to try to prevent Libya from becoming a second Syria.
A new milestone for President Trump's border wall. 100 miles of new border wall has been completed. This is the DHS works towards the president's goal of building 450 miles of the border wall by the year end. Border Patrol agent, Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council.
Well, it's made a huge difference because a lot of the old physical barriers that we had in place did not have the technology that we have now. So, for example, the new border wall system that we have, those 100 miles, that includes a lot of technology. For example, it'll tell our agents when people are approaching the fence, when people are approaching the area, when they're crossing, they'll be able to be detected from 100 yards away, and we'll be able to know if it's an animal or if it's actually people coming across. So that'll give the advantage to our agents, and we'll be able to do our job a lot better.
The United States has decided to expel the Saudi Arabia military servicemen training at the U.S. military bases. The expulsion comes after a review following deadly shooting in Florida last month. The Pentagon review was prompted by the deadly December shooting, and now more than a dozen Saudi servicemen who are training at American military bases are set to be expelled from the country. The Pentagon had announced on the 10th of December that it was halting operational training of all Saudi Arabian military personnel in the United States after that incident. The training is conducted as part of a security cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia. 3 American sailors at the Pensacola installation were killed and 8 others were injured in a deadly shooting attack last month at American Naval Base in Florida.
"12 migrants have been found dead and 21 others have been rescued in the Ionian Sea. This information comes from the Greek Coast Guards, who said that the migrants were rescued southwest of the Greek island Paxos as their boat began to take on water and eventually sank. A call for help was made by someone on the boat to the emergency services on Saturday morning. The initial report suggests that 50 migrants were on board. Merchant and Coast Guard ships and a helicopter have been searching the calm seas for survivors. This latest incident comes during a busy week for migrant sea rescues. A total of 119 people, including 50 miners, were rescued on Thursday and Friday in the Mediterranean Sea. Sea-Watch 3, owned by the NGO Sea-Watch, said that they had performed 3 rescue missions.
块自由的土地，我们一起守住了这一个民族的堡垒。此时此刻，我的心中只有感谢。我能够领导这个国家，是我毕生最大的荣幸。谢谢各位给我这个机会。
The death of a man in Oklahoma is the latest to be blamed on this line of severe storms that tore through a good chunk of the South and Midwest so far this weekend. Officials in Oklahoma say he was swept away by floodwaters.
Now, his death is at least the 9th storm-related death across the country. Heavy rain, it's just part of this triple threat storm that included ice and tornadoes.
Across the country, especially throughout the South, homes, commercial buildings, and lives have been ruined in a matter of minutes by severe storms and tornadoes responsible for at least 8 deaths, including 2 people who are being called heroes in Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock police officers and firefighters were responding to a car accident on an icy interstate Saturday morning. While they were there, 2 more cars slid across the median, one of them hitting the first responders. Lubbock officials say speed on icy roads had everything to do with the fatal accident.
At BMO's main branch in downtown Vancouver, dozens of protesters.
And we want BMO to know racial profiling has to stop.
The demonstrators later moved inside the bank, where Indigenous elder Maxwell Johnson was last month to open an account for his 12-year-old granddaughter. During their appointment, Johnson says an employee questioned the pair's identification, including their government-issued Indian status cards, and unbeknownst to them, called 911.
The information that came in that call is that it was a fraud in progress. And the information described to the officers through the 911 call is that there were 2 suspects. One was a 50-year-old South Asian male, and the second one was a 16-year-old South Asian female. So that was the information that the officers had when they responded to the bank.
And based on that flawed description from the bank of the suspects, Johnson and the girl ended up in handcuffs